everybody. Welcome. Day 4, ATSV Phase 2. We're going to kick off our seminars for the day. We got 5 slated for the day for you today. I'd like to welcome back Marc Sidler from Testx. He's the Chief Marketing Officer. Marc's been with us for a very long time at ATS. He's joined by Stella Sun. She will be helping with questions. Another very knowledgeable representative from Testx, excuse me. The talk today is sustainability during COVID-19 times. I'd like to remind everybody that we do have a chat function. If there's any questions that arise during the presentation, please include them there, as well as for our Facebook live viewers. We'll be feeding those questions live at the very end of the presentation. So Marc, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're in good health, and I'm glad. Thanks, Jason, for being back. Apparently not physical. I really miss traveling a bit, but at least that's the way we can connect, and that's how the way we can improve step by step our environment, our social behavior, and of course at the on the other side, everyone, like now the first picture I'll show you. Share computer sound, then I'm good. Share. So I'm gonna wear the mask like the pumpkin, but I will take it off because no one is in my room. I'm at my home office. So also Testex is taking serious steps to reduce the risk of spreading. So I get it off again. And but at the very end, of course, of my presentation, I will also give you a few ideas and test services we can do towards face masks. So welcome everyone. My title is again survival versus sustainability. I honestly believe, and this is also Testx commitment, sustainable isn't just a trend, it's really an attitude. And once we were capable to spread the virus and getting back to normal, I really hope soon. But I think it's part of all of us that we are involved, and we protect each other. So but sustainability, you know, it's something we haven't covered, or we haven't covered enough. So I'm glad I won't become too political. Even the two topics, sustainability and face mask, it would be a huge topic in the US, I guess. But you know, we are rather not on the political side as a company, so I don't make any comments there. But sustainability, and we really are into the science, and that's why also we made a cooperation with Quantis on life cycle analysis. But this part I will certainly show you in a few minutes. So let me get started. First of all, we start with a short video. Hopefully you can hear the sound. Otherwise, just type me a short message, please. We checked before.
Dear Fashion, I love you, but we need to talk. I love you because you make me feel special, wanted, and proud of myself. So far, I have enjoyed each and every moment we have spent together. Now, things are changing, and I find it hard to keep my faith in you. I still love you, but as our planet is facing climate change, I am facing a change of heart. Your industry is one of the most polluting in the world, and the numbers are increasing. Now, don't tell me you do this because that's just what consumers want. I am a consumer, and I'm telling you what I want. Firstly, I want to know that my clothes aren't doing any harm to me or the environment. And secondly, that the people who are making them are working in fair conditions. I fear the moment when I'll have to face my kids and tell them the details about fast fashion. Please think about it. Stand up for our planet. Make smart decisions. Join Ecotex.
So I really hope you saw the video and also got tone with it. I became a father in early this year, February, and my daughter, Anna is her name. She's kind of a Corona baby, so she really got used to masks. Even she tries to pull it off all the time, but of course we will all overcome that time. And I think we really need to work now on sustainability and don't focus too much on ourselves, because they are basics. For that, I quickly draw the Maslow hierarchy of needs, and I put the words which are in connection to sustainability and health in bold. And we are on the bottom two ones, you know, the physiological needs, air, food, water. This is a huge topic for the textile industry. We are all polluters. It's the second most polluting industry in the world. So that means sustainability is huge on the very bottom of our needs. And just one up, safety, of course, it's health and security, employment are important. But if we don't have food, water anymore, we are done anyway. So I really just make this special judgment that I believe sustainability is even more severe than Corona. I mean, with respect to everyone who is losing family members or friends, but sustainability is even a tougher part we have to scope with. So I believe the COVID-19 virus is maybe on the second level, but what we are talking basically is really on the first level. So I think we should really reconsider. Hopefully we can all get through these tough times very, very fast, and hopefully in summer or early spring, or in spring, I mean early summer, we are one step further and we can focus back on the things which really count in life, and this is all the basic needs. So everyone is aware, or maybe this is now a little bit in the back because of the media. We had the global climate strikes all around the globe. A lot of young people, young children, were on strike to really show the adults and our industry that we have to do something. I like to connect it very much with the United Nations, the Sustainable Development Goals, because I believe we need to have a common language that we can understand and address towards all our industry and supply chain. Also Ecotex, which we are representing, Stella, me in Canada. We are focusing on these 5 specific areas. So climate action, life below water, life on land, and clean water, of course, number 6. And then, of course, the biggest one is responsible consumption and production. And I think one of our professors, he is a professor of sustainability from University of Basel, and he said, you know, one of the most important things is, of course, that you produce good garment, good clothes, good intermediate products in a high quality, because the better the quality, the longer the people might use it, and the longer usage also always has a big impact on the pollution. So always keep in mind good quality. And I think we are just ahead of Black Friday. I think it's tomorrow, if I remember right. Good quality, buy less, but buy better products. This is also my personal belief. So on the Ecotex, with the different services we offer, we definitely are also covering that area. Now I'm still getting, now my screen just fell over. Hopefully you can see me again. Maybe not. I think now I'm back. I'm sorry about that. We are, I mean, yeah, there were the politics now involved again, but all of you know that in 2015, 193 members of the United Nations have signed this agreement in Paris. So whatever happens in the US, but I just hope, not being political here, that also most countries around the world will really follow this path of sustainability, because this is a common approach. To give you an example, make an example in the US, I think it's an easy one. From Houston to Los Angeles, it's 1,500 miles approximately. And the emission a car produces is in average, actually the global cities is equal with the textile industry. So this is a huge impact. And if we go on the bottom, an example, so roughly 8% of the textile industry are the emissions equal to the European Union. So whole Europe produces the same quantity of CO2 like the fashion textile industry. So big impact, huge impact, and I put it down on the supply chain. We can see the hotspots, and of course, maybe not of course, because this is sometimes always a bit of a surprise, that the end of life, you know, the number 7, especially, I mean, it depends, of course, what date you take there, but the end of life means the upcycling part, or when you recycle it, actually you burn it in the professional environment. The impact is very small, but the dyeing and finishing, and of course the yarn preparation is quite huge, and also not forgetting mentioning the fiber production. So the whole farming has a big impact on the industry, on climate. So we are addressing as Ecotex these LCA, because we really believe this is one of the tools we can offer to the industry, a valid service to improve our daily consumption, actually also our daily buying skills. So LCA and this Paris Agreement 2015, they defined to keep the global warming below 2 degrees. So that's where we are working on, that we can really offer you a tool. So as I said at the very beginning, we have an agreement with Quantis. They are a specialist in this field, and we work on a lot on data. We had run a pilot. I will also show you the figures in a second. And there's a lot of data available. So from manufacturing to the end of life and then back on. So it's a circle. And we look in different aspects, from carbon footprint to fresh water to water use to human health. We have data, and data is important to make decisions. So to give you the example from a pilot we have done in 2019, now we are working on the implementation into one of our products. You can see that, for instance, for this cotton t-shirts, this is a normal cotton t-shirt. This is from our customer. I'm not allowed to tell you which one, but the average CO2 emission for a cotton t-shirt with the weight of about 150 grams is 5.4 kilos. I think it's just factor multiply 2 for you in North America, and 2.8 was the real figure for our customers. So I think if you always compare with average numbers, you can become better, and you have clear KPIs, and you can target yourself and become better. And you see, you can see on that chart that our customer is in 4 sectors, or in 4 areas. They were quite good. They were better than a benchmark, but also for the middle one, for the 9.7 per square meter, in comparison to a normal one, they have to improve themselves. So this is the ecosystem quality. Good. So let's go on. So what Ecotex is really doing, I'm going back always to the supply chain because this is the easy way to describe the bigger portfolio or the growing portfolio Ecotex has to offer. We always start, we started actually at the very beginning on the bottom right with the standard 100, but this was not only for the final garment, actually it was also for the components, so also for the raw materials like fabrics, for buttons, for sewing threads. Standard 100 was always the story we started with in 1992. But now very much we start in input control already with the chemicals. On the process, on the manufacturing, we have STEP, and we have detox to zero for all, everything what is related to wastewater and sludge. And then on the output control, we talk today about made in green, we talk about standard 100 and the leather standard. So this is always the supply chain, always going in circles. Good. Ecotex quickly, there are 18 different institutes, independent ones. We are one of them. We are official representatives in Canada. That's why I'm also talking to you. We're partners of the organization since the beginning. So I'm always glad to join, and hopefully one day we can travel again. So I miss you guys in North America as well. Ecotex is now in more than 70 countries around the globe. Since the beginning, there were more than 160,000 certificates issued, and we work together with approximately more than 14,000 companies. Quickly about Testx. So we are one of the representing institutes. We have quite a long history. Next year, hopefully, the virus, we have been successful and got it down to minimum level. We have next year something to celebrate, 175 years of company history. 1846, we got founded in the field of silk conditioning. So the name was Silk Conditioning Association Zurich. This was the name back that time. So Testx was always involved in textiles. We are a specialist for textiles. We are learning a lot also about leather, but we are not like big other testing laboratories which can test from automotive to toys to everything. We are very much focused on textile. That's where we are best in. 1993, quickly, we joined the Ecotex Association, and we are a founding member of the Ecotex Association. And in 2013, we got the merger with UTI. This is our 100% sister or daughter company, I don't know the name in the US, of Testex. And another bigger step, of course, are the big stakeholders. So for instance, in 2018, we joined also the Zero Discharge of Hazardous Chemicals Association. Here, very quickly, just how we develop around the globe with our own offices. UT and Testex has now 28 offices around the globe. Few numbers by end of last year. The latest, you will certainly get these slides from the organizer. I also put on the upper right the download link from the latest report. Ecotex is publishing a report with the latest figures. Just a few numbers here. I start in the middle with Ecotex standard 100. It was still growing 10% roughly. What is more severe if you talk about sustainability, of course, we have STEP. So this is the green area. 402 companies have done STEP, and I will also talk a little bit further about STEP in a few minutes. And recently, the numbers has succeeded more than 500 companies. So when you want to do Made in Green, this is also one of the certification, or actually it's a label. It's very important that you can, especially if you're at the very end of the supply chain, for instance, you're a designer or you're a small brand, or you're a retailer, you want to look for pre-certified materials, and you want to look for pre-audited or certified factories which have STEP, so that you can do made in green. The chemical part, I will leave it by side for the moment, and the latter part as well. But at the very end, we will have some time to answer also questions on that area. What brands or retailers trust in Ecotext? There are several. Some of them you might have not been aware that they're using Ecotext, because they might use it just at the quality control of their own documentation. So they don't label the product, but they use it as a system. I think a very interesting one, of course, also is now Amazon. Amazon came up with a new area how to label green products, and with Made in Green, we have with a database, we actually verify from a few first customer. We verify, or we actually confirm that this green mark they have, that it's really connected with our database, so there are no fakes and let's say greenwashing has been done. So going into the initiatives or international stakeholders like Greenpeace, CDHC, also in the United States, of course, and California Proposition List 65, we try to follow or try to be in accordance with these initiatives. It's not always easy, but year by year we are reviewing the most important ones, and Ecotext was always capable, always try to cover as much as possible, that you can use one Ecotext for the whole world. For instance, you export a lot of garment, and you don't need to worry that you can fulfill, for instance, REACH in Europe. But on the other side, you want to be safe in the US. So the Ecotext goal is always to have to offer worldwide system. So why we're doing that? It's really, this is the mission statement of Ecotext. Ecotext enables consumers and companies to make responsible decisions and to protect our planet and people. So it's on one side the consumers. That's where we all started with Ecotext Standard 100, tested for harmful substances. But we definitely also want to get involved the companies which are producing, so the environment around the factories, but also, of course, their workers. So this is our mission. How we can achieve that, I think a step with Standard 100, I think I leave it also to the Q&A to answer a few questions there. I'll also give you a short live demo. I hope it helps with the screen sharing. But when we talk about sustainability, and this was a topic, sustainability in the post-pandemic, we really need to invest into several areas of the manufacturing process. With STEP, we look into these 6 areas: environmental performance, health and safety, social responsibility, environmental management, quality management, and chemical management. I will dig in a little bit later. To compare the different systems, and this is one of the questions I often get asked. It's a bit harder now because I don't see if you're raising a question right now, or if you think STEP I've never heard of, is it good or isn't it that good? So I compared quickly for you back in May, the status quo of the systems which look into different sustainability areas. This is from sustainabilitymap.org. It always gets updated, and you can see, comparing to GOTS, Fairway Foundation, Blue Sign, STEP has a very high rating, but that also means that it's very demanding. It needs a lot of time. There are costs involved. There is preparation, but we believe that if you really invest into sustainability, and that other professor I was mentioning before always brought up this term triple bottom line. So in the sustainability field, if you want to be successful, you need to cover people, planet, and profit. So you can make, you need to make profit, otherwise you cannot cover the other two areas. So it's an investment into the future. If you don't do it, I think you won't survive. And that's my message. So step quickly along the whole supply chain. So we are a supply chain starting at the very bottom. From that perspective, the making up of products, the sew and cut are certainly very important because there are a lot of labors involved. I'm sure you also have heard maybe the presentation from RAP. Also we have a corporation there that if, for instance, you have a existing RAP certification, that not all testing or all the auditing has to be done again. But we are in the whole supply chain, from weaving and knitting, accessories, even logistics centers, so we can do the whole supply chain. Step in detail quickly. Chemical management, that's very much when we look into the chemistry, to MRSL, manufacturer substance list, restricted substance list. When we look into the trainings, how are the people trained to run these chemical areas of a company? Because there are a lot of risks if you're involved into chemicals. That's the area we cover there. Environmental performance. So here we are back with the CO2. You might remember one of my first few slides when I put up that 8% of the worldwide, it's equal of the consumption of whole Europe, the output of CO2 of the textile industry. So of course, we talk about efficiency, we talk about limiting air emissions, we talk about also wastewater and sludge. So these are all directly involved into environment. And a lot of countries, of course, they were actually really putting an eye on, because they agreed to the Paris Protocol and they need to get it done. And a lot of companies, also from the tech industry, they already brought up targets that they want to fulfill by 2030. So I think it's really, it's now you have to get started. Environmental management, for instance, we also look into ISO 14001. There are internal audits, there are environmental targets. So this is more like the management part. Quality management, I guess that's where everything has started, or you might also have got involved at the very beginning of your buying career, for instance, that you want to have a consistent quality. And I think that's one of the keys of manufacturing, of mass manufacturing. So we also are taking a look at that one. And then that's another severe one. Of course, also RAP, for instance, is covering health and safety. We want to make sure that the people are safe. So of course, now one of the topics will be the face masks. I think it's even hard for us at this stage to make these audits, because we cannot travel so easy. So we have recently done even virtual audits. So one of my colleague, Adrian Miley, he's the lead auditor. He was in front of his computer and he had a local person in the country because he couldn't travel, and showing him the factory, getting involved in interviews with the people. So we found a way how we can do it also during COVID-19 times. So you don't need to wait until everything is over. But of course, I respect all the companies, or a lot of companies are struggling and they need to rearrange the organization. And so we would be prepared to make an audit at any time. It just needs a little bit more preparation. So in that area, of course, we also look about emergency exit signs. You look about how are the audits regulated on, risk prevention, so on. And another important part, also RAP is there quite strong, of course, the social responsibility. Maybe you've also heard about SA1000. We very much, of course, are in line with ILO conventions. And quickly, the certification process is very much, the preparation is computer-based, or I would even say almost cloud-based. You have to apply on our website become a STEP accredited company. There will be an online evaluation tool after you confirm the quotation for the STEP audit. In the average, we talk for a normal size company, we talk about 10,000 US. Of course, it depends how many factory buildings, it depends how many workers are involved, but this is just an average number that you know how expensive STEP is. What is important, we talk here about a 3 years period. So there is an online evaluation. You need to answer in the 6 areas a lot of questions. Of course, the better you prepare, or the more honest you answer the question, the less work has to be done on site, because the next step will be, of course, after you have answered the question, will be the analysis of our STEP auditors back in our institutes. And after all the analysis is done and ready to go out and do the audit, will be on site and will verify what you have answered. And I think this is always the interesting part, and there's always a huge learning curve for auditor and also for the companies to work together on a final evaluation. And if you pass, there will be certificate and quite a detailed final report. And already in the picture, you can see there is one is the certificate. It's actually on the back side, and the front will be more like the performance. So let me show you here quickly the performance, how we designed that. There are like 2 levels. You need to fulfill the basic questions, including all exclusion criteria. If you want to do a little bit more, you want to have a better scoring. There are a lot of companies that are very eager to have a huge scoring, because it will have an involvement on the audit cycles, because there will be also unannounced audits or re-audits during the 3 years period. So of course you can achieve the higher point, the more points you achieve, the less audits you're going to have in the future. Here are the third-party certification, how we
Looks like Mark here froze for a second. We'll get this sorted in here in a second, guys. Stella, are you still there?
Hi, Jason, I'm here.
Okay, looks like Mark froze here.
Am I back?
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, it looks like you froze there for a second, Mark.
Okay, I think I'm good now again. Can you see my screen?
Yep. No screen right now, just you.
1 second, excuse me for that.
There we go. Okay, go ahead.
Now back, huh? I'm sorry for that. Maybe slow internet in Switzerland, but it's always in the afternoon. So I also need to get fiber because we're in the home office. So just going quickly back, I don't know where I lost you or you lost me. In the middle, we have along the supply chain, we have the making up companies, the sew and cut with 297 questions. It's not our aim to ask as many questions as possible. It's important to ask the right ones. And from the pilot we have done with Quantis about the LCA, we are now investing into addressing now the changes of the questions, that on one day we are really capable with Made in Green then to really give you, for instance, a CO2 emission on one t-shirt as a systematic approach, that you don't need to do everything manually, that you can really fill in the numbers we have from the audit report and you can break it down on a single garment. And of course, as mentioned on the other slide, if you have a pre-existing audits or your factory has, there will be less questions, less work, and less audit costs involved. Good, so let me continue. That's the scoring system quickly to explain you. so as I mentioned, the better you are. We start with the basic questions. So up to 0%, you have to achieve 0 or a little bit more than 0%. Otherwise, you cannot fulfill the entry level of STEP. And the first level, you have achieved, let's say, the minimum requirements. And so if you have a certificate, you have passed. And of course, the higher, the more points, or the more, because we believe it's always a step-by-step approach that you can improve yourself, and you never have the money or time or the resources and the people to improve yourself in all the 6 fields of the SEP certification. So let me show you what it means on the audit renewal, or in this period of these 3 years. That really means if you're on level 1, so if you just passed but you're good because you cover all the areas, you don't have exclusion criteria, there will be 2 unannounced audits and 1 conformity audits. But on the very top, if you're let's say a high performer, you have more than 66% achievement, 66.6. You only have 1 conformity audit in this 3 years period. So of course, this is also costs perspective you need to consider there. But as you can see in this online assessment, how good you are, how many the questions you have answered, what points you achieve, you can really easily see how much more time you need to invest to get maybe on a higher level. Good. So quickly, this one I will not cover too much. Maybe if there are questions at the end, I can certainly bring that up. But in this report, very detailed report, you can also benchmark yourself with the industry and so on. This is now just an example from this other picture from the certificate from the second page. So it also shows you average performance. So the level 2, so this company, for example, has now level 2, has so 1 announced and 1 conformity audit. And in the different fields, they have a different scoring. So for instance, chemicals, they are level 1, but social responsibility, they're already quite good. They're 80%. At the end, it's just a mathematical sum up of your achievement. And this one I will jump. Here again, you can see the certificate of the company. And a little bit later, I will show you when I go back once to the website. You just need to get it done right with the screen sharings. I will also show you how you can look for pre-certified companies, if either they have standard 100, maybe they already have Made in Green or STEP. But to really talk about Made in Green, because this is one of, let's say, also one of my passion tools or services, because here we really talk about a combination of 2 aspects. We talk about the product safety, so protecting the people who are wearing the garment, but we're also protecting the environment and the people who are involved in the manufacturing process. So they are basically, it's STEP and standard 100, or it's STEP and the leather standard. If there are leather products involved, this is equal with Made in Green. So Made in Green at the end is a label combining 2 of our standards. One is for the materials and the products, and the other one is for the manufacturing process. This one I will quickly later do live. I also enclose, because you will receive the presentation later, there's also a short video. If you would forget how to do it, just watch the video and you will see how you can check a label online. But I will try to do it a little bit later, just live, that you can see it once. Good. So once again, to repeat, Made in Green, tested for harmful substance. This is from the standard 100. Made in environmental friendly facilities and safe and social responsible workplace. This is STEP. So the upper one is standard 100, and the second and third point are STEP. This is basically Made in Green. Good. So before I go to the mask, I'll quickly try to share my screen. Just hope I can move it that way. Can you see my screen? Or basically, maybe you cannot see it. You just can see still the presentation. Can someone tell? Jason, can you see the?
Yeah, I see your screen. You're on the Testx website right now.
Ah, good. So I'm good. I'm good to go. So for instance, I go on ecotext.com. This is all public. You don't need a password. So this is the Ecotext website. First of all, I want to show you the buying guide. So you can look for pre-certified materials or actually companies which are audited. I will do quickly now with standard 100. So for instance, we have standard 100. We have end user garments, ready-made goods. I will go, of course, to excuse me, where I am North America. I go to Canada. I'll just get rid of that one. So you can look here now, for instance, there are not too many in Canada with this pre-selection, but this is, let me do with North America. So there are now, of course, much more. Here you can look for companies which fulfill the above criteria. For instance, if you do it with China, Far East, and China, for instance, of course, the list will be very, very long. So there are several hundred companies. And if you want to click on one of them, for instance, I'll use the one with the logo. You can also see, and this is actually the label from Standard 100. That means this company has a valid Standard 100, but it doesn't show you the certification number because you have to get in contact with them. You have the contact details here. You can get in contact with them and ask them to send you their certificate so that you can also verify what products are covered. So going back to the label check, or just excuse me quickly, sorry, I almost forgot, need of course to talk about STEP. So I told you there are about 400 companies on my slide. There are now more than 500. So if you want to look for companies which already have the STEP certification, you can put, of course, let me just do all the locations. You will find in the meantime a list of more than 11 pages, more than 500 companies in this database. This is open to everyone. One of the advantages I really would recommend you is if you're very much interested in supply chain management, talk to Stella. She will help you to set up an account, a free account for Ecotex with all the Made in Green focus, and you can even put together supply chain. So you can invite all these companies, and then you will see in the back end. So there you need a login part. You will get a login, and then you can really put together your supply chain and can manage on a very digital way your further investments. So quickly the label check, and then I'm going back to my last topic. We still have some questions to answer. I have a product. Let me just quickly copy from my screen, otherwise I'll make a mistake. Oops, that was the wrong one. I could also scan my code on site. So for instance, this would on every label, as you saw on the presentation, there's a QR code on. And for instance, this is now I just put it manually inside. Actually, maybe I'm even wearing that pants right now, but you don't see it. So this is the new home office style, and they fulfill Made in Green. It's loungewear, and here you can see now the supply chain of this specific Made in Green product. So you see there is a brand owner involved, Khalida. There's sew and cut involved, and also dyeing and finishing operation in Turkey. We say as a minimum requirement for Made in Green, we need the full product with Standard 100 certified, of course. For STEP, they are just the critical parts are mandatory. So that means sew and cut, and as well the dyeing, the wet chemical process. So that's why the dyeing finishing is involved. But of course, you can show everything if you if you have it. So this is the label check. Of course, you could do the same with standard 100, and you will also see if you have if you find products on online, you can always put the number in here. It will start, for example, like this or whatever, a number. Just put in the number you find exactly on the label, and then you're good. You never have to type the institute, just the number before the institute. So let me go back to my presentation. So this we have covered in live. Now, my last topic, need to put on the mask again, because this is really now about the mask, because we still have to survive first before we can talk about sustainability anymore. We wear masks, and we survive, and we can already focus. I think that would be the better idea. I quickly show you some short video from our East campaign. So this is Ben.
This is Ben. Ben is an influencer and gets thousands of likes for every post on social media. Also, Ben has never surfed a day in his life. Not everything is as it seems. The same applies to community masks. Always check for the Testx community mask label to make sure that your mask meets the recommendations of the Swiss National COVID-19 Science Task Force. Be smart. Check the label.
So, about masks. There are different mask types. I mean, of course, it really depends what country you're based in. There are regulations. There are, for instance, in Europe, we have EN. We have the PP on the top one, but a lot of masks, especially made of textiles, there are no regulations so far. I mean, in Switzerland, already in spring, we were part of it to really define a recommendation. It's no legislation, it's just a recommendation. And based on that one, we created a label and actually a testing scheme, how to ensure that masks, for instance, like this one, have a certain standard. So we very much at the moment talk about the bottom one, about the so-called community masks. I think they're quite popular because they're reusable. So back to sustainability, but of course, you also want to protect yourself. So number 2 of Maslow, because it doesn't help if you losing your life because you have chosen the wrong mask. You can't do much anymore about sustainability. So what is the community mask of Testx doing? We check for several parameters, for instance, for splash resistance. So if someone spits at you or coughs, it has a certain resistance to splash. There is a particle filtration. We do that with salt in our lab with 1 micrometer. This is an important figure, and you can also see that on the fact sheet. I put the links there. It's all in English as well, now available. And we pressure salt through this mask, and with the size of 1 micrometer, and 70% efficiency should be achieved, 70% or more, otherwise you will fail. And of course, the sizing of the COVID-19 has a big impact. So I think you should very much consider how big the particles have to be. Air permeability, because you want to run for sports, or you want to talk. So a good air permeability is very important, that you feel comfortable and you don't fall over because not enough oxygen. Number 5, reusability, because otherwise a textile mask doesn't make sense. We have defined a minimum reusability of 5 times. There are companies, they already achieve now 20 or even more. So if a company achieves 20, we would change this number 5 to 20, for instance, but we really wash it according in our special laundry, and with 60 degrees, and actually also powder detergent. Last one is what we have involved is also, we believe that the harmful substance is important, because as you can see from my mask, or another one from my wife, they are all in lovely colors, because it's also a little bit of a fashion thing. but on the other side, it needs to protect. But if we use a lot of colors and printing, we need to ensure that the colors, you don't want to have it on your face and involved in your skin. And so the harmful substances here are very important.
Mark, sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to remind you, we're getting close to the end of the session here, so need to
Perfect.
Make some wrapping up marks. Thanks.
Perfect. So actually, I'm at the very end almost. We also checking the mask design. Does it really cover the full face? Mouth, chin, and nose is one of the recommendations. Should be as close as possible. What we also did is I just put you the link. You can check by yourself. We put the label list so it's traceable. So again, there's a QR code on, and you can scan it and you can trace it, and you can really see if it's valid or not. What we do now in addition, we don't only offer the community mask from Testex, but we also have a European recommendation we are following. And next year, we are also capable to test according to the FFP in Europe. Medical mask, we can cover standard 100 if this is a recommendation, or if this is wanted. We are not accredited for medical mask in Switzerland or Europe, but we can always do single testing. So for instance, maybe you have a parameter, you're not sure from the factory you're purchasing from. So for instance, we could check the filter efficiency or splash resistance. I'm already at the end. Many thanks. And I think I'm very happy to answer some questions. Please follow us on social media, if it's in China or if it's in other countries. So thanks, Jason. I'm open for questions. I think Stella is also with me.
Yeah, I think Stella actually has been answering questions. I've been checking
already.
Her. Yeah, already. So she took care of that during the session. But I'd like to say that, remind everybody that Mark had mentioned earlier that if you want to sign up for an Ecotex account, it's free. That's free, no money down. So I think that's something that everybody should look at, especially if you're a brand or a designer. We're big fans, obviously, of Testx at the show. In fact, as a moderator, in front of the camera all day, and to reduce the shine, I only trust my trusted Testx towel, because I know it's safe, and I know if I'm putting it on my face, it's the best piece of textiles for it. So anyway, thanks again, Mark and Stella, for being here. It's great to see you guys as always. I would like to remind everybody, I'm going to post the link that I posted. I just posted the link here at the bottom to the show dashboard. Please head in there. There's our country pavilions and our exhibitors there. We do have a matchmaking function as well. That's our virtual hangout. If you scroll down once in the dashboard, you'll see a little pulsating green button. Please enter that room. Mark, I invite you to go in there afterwards as well. John Banker and Jason Prescott are in there. They'd like to say hello to both of you. So link down here below. And oh, really quickly, where do they sign up for the Ecotex? Mark, do you have a link for us?
I will be very happy to share the link with you. Or maybe I will put just on this. Let me do that quickly. If you go, excuse me, where I am, I'm lost on my internet. There we go. I think you can see my screen again.
Yep.
If you go on testex.com, let me do it quickly. Excuse me. That's a little bit blocked. So there we go. If you want to have an account here, there we have Made in Green on our website on testex.com. There's a button register here. Press on that link and you can actually ask to be, just have to fill in this questionnaire. Don't be confused because it says suppliers and Made in Green. You don't need to already have Made in Green or STEP or Standard 100. It's also just for a supplier. So for supplier management, so you just apply here what you are, your brand maybe, or your retailer. Make sure you put here Testx as the institute, because then Stella will cover it up, put the country, and so answer a few questions. Send it, and then we will ensure that later on we can confirm the license, and then Stella will be very happy to help you with some connection of your supply chain, looking for suppliers which already have our system.
And here,
That's the link.
great. And here's the link for you guys down below. I just posted it to everybody. We do have to get going, but Mark, hopefully I get to see you next year in person. You too, Stella. You stay safe. And as always, it's a pleasure having you on.
Thank you very much, Jason. Stay safe. Don't forget to wear a mask.
Always. All right. Unless I'm sprinting, then I do take it off for a minute. All right. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.